It is Thursday, March 20th, 2025. It's 9:01, 9:02. Good morning, and I'd like to call the order and roll call for Manistee, City of Manistee Housing Commission. Regular monthly meeting.
Commissioner Samansky,
Here.
Commissioner Pelton,
Here.
Commissioner Goodman,
Here.
President Foster.
Here.
So all are present. There's just one vacant seat.
Amendments to the agenda? Or any amendments?
No, thank you.
Okay. Public comment on agenda related items. Consent agenda, approval of minutes from last month's meeting. Approval of bills and disbursements for February. And financial reports December 2024 and January 2025. Make a motion, we accept.
A second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Old business. Century Terrace mini split pump update.
So we did have a company from Wisconsin, pay a visit with a mechanical contractor. And they continue to ask me to provide them with more documentation. And they will be providing a proposal to Franklin Energy, which will then go to DTE. And we'll find out if we're able to make the project possible.
Consumers or DTE?
Or DTE, sorry.
No,
Did I
consumers.
say,
You said DTE.
Okay.
Consumers.
yes, electric
Yeah.
consumers. But it is Franklin Energy works with consumers.
They're both subcontractors with consumers.
So there's still some hope that we can get these mini splits. In the two towers, Century Terrace and Harborview.
Well, Harborview has DTE boiler,
Okay, so we're only working with Century Terrace.
This building.
correct.
That's a start.
Yeah, the only challenge they see is how, and they were gonna go back and do some calculations, if they could run several apartments off one condenser, yeah, or do they have to set individual ones? And then the other challenge is line sets, getting to roofs and mechanical chases, so there's a lot of engineering that has to go on. And the electrical system, if they can actually, if the current panels will support those individual.
And just so everyone knows, even though this building has been renovated in the last year or two, trying to re-renovate it possibly, and put mini split units in our air handlers, which will give our residents both heating and cooling for about 1/10 of the cost in electricity.
And we
And
can-
we're trying to get this done, grants through Consumers Energy.
And the window units that the residents currently have to put in and take out,
Will be gone.
yes.
You've been working on this for how long?
Yeah.
Not an easy process.
It's a very expensive project because of the makeup of the building.
Too bad it wasn't considered by the renovation people.
Yeah, it should have been considered.
Yes, it should have.
Okay, next in line, Spectrum Bulk Solutions.
So we did extend the survey to the residents because I wanted them to understand that this will affect all 100% of the residents. They would have to purchase their internet and TV cable through the Housing Commission if we do decide to go with the bulk agreement. So we had the resident council meeting yesterday, and several residents do not want anything to do with the bulk agreement because they currently have internet service anywhere between $30 and $50, and they're not interested in the cable service. So you do have a small percent of residents that would be very disappointed if we do go with a bulk agreement. On the other hand, we do have residents that are paying up to $200 for internet and cable. So those residents would be very excited if we do go with the bulk agreement. So I am still working with the contractor from Spectrum, working on better proposals, working with the residents to get more input, and then I'll have more information for you at the April meeting. So either way, though, you're gonna disappoint residents. If you go for it, there's gonna be residents that currently are only paying $30. So I don't know if we did decide to go with that, if we could grandfather any residents in. I'm also going to check with HUD and see if there's any money out there for connectivity, is what HUD calls it. If there'd be, any kind of funds available that maybe we could subsidize this project. So we can allow, offer less, internet, less expenses for internet service for our residents.
And the numbers we were talking at the time were $45 for internet, like, or broadband internet, and an additional $20 for cable TV expanded basic, which I thought was pretty good rates. And your $30 customers are about to get a rude awakening because Spectrum had deleted that contract along with the government. Used to pay $30. The current administration did not refund it.
Now, did anyone notice the memo dated March 19th, 2018?
Yes,
So this, is the bulk agreement that was terminated in the past. So at that time, there was no internet offered. It was only the basic expanded cable TV. And the Housing Commission was forced to increase the rate from $60 to $72 per month back in 2018. I'm not sure when the agreement was terminated. But this actually, a resident placed this in the Dropbox, so I thought that was good information to know that 8 years ago, or what, 5, or however many years ago, or 7 years ago, 7 years ago, they were paying $72. And we're offering it for that now, approximately that, with the great internet service. But there's, a lot of things we have to look at. 5-year contract, 8-year contract. Originally, they wanted to have a up to 6% increase every year. We did get them to lower that to 4%, but then they took away our door charge.
you'd think they'd be aggressive and want like packages like this, but
Oh, yeah, they're aggressive, but they wanted upper terms.
no, but
So yeah, there's a lot to it.
and this is our only option, right? No, but there's no one else that'll do a bulk
Yeah,
cable,
there is.
cable or internet.
Well, you can get internet, but not cable.
But I just come up, Charter is saying by 2028, they're no longer going to have a wired cable internet anymore, or wired cable TV. It's going to be streamed. And the TV portion, you'll have to have internet to get the TV portion.
Right.
So if we go with another company that gives us high-speed internet, we can stream Charter across that high-speed internet at additional cost if a resident wants it. What we're seeing is cable internet's going the way of landlines.
Right.
No one's wants to pay for it. The younger people, which everyone's getting younger than me anymore, are all streaming. They only want to watch what they want to watch when they want to watch it. And so it's going to streaming.
Charter and Spectrum are the same thing.
Yeah.
Charter and Spectrum are the
Right.
same thing, yeah.
Which our clientele is elderly and mainly, so
But they should be able
They're-
to get it through a streaming it across the internet.
What would be the cost of us putting Wi-Fi throughout a building and charging?
We looked at that, and it's hard, Karen, in these buildings just because of the construction, the masonry. We thought about in Big Rapids, we were contemplating, but they could not get the signal through the buildings. that maybe that technology's changed too, you know, that's, we could ask our IT guys that question.
Well, I've already got an answer to that because I asked the guy I was talking to last night about bringing gig service into here. And this company's really, really interested in it. And they said that they will use the existing cable lines, the copper lines. They've got the technology to run gig service across the copper line.
That might be, especially with people streaming more and more, that, I think that's a better thought process.
Biggest concern probably for local residents would be on streaming is to get local channels
Yeah.
to be able to access, you know, the Cadillac or the Traverse City channels.
Of course, those are all available now on streaming.
Yeah, and it might be,
They are.
Three companies, some of them even free. so.
yeah,
Can you
Some-
get those just with regular antennas here?
No.
Manistee? No,
Somewhat,
okay.
I don't think so.
depends on the day.
But that might be, you know, if we went to just streaming, it might be, we get a high school kid to be a tech intern for us or something and help people set it up and manage it or something, because it's not an easy process sometimes.
And the other thing that we have to concern ourselves with is we have to charge enough that it doesn't, that we're not subsidizing it because it is a government program.
And you can't force people to
No,
purchase
And
that.
right now, out of the 119 units in, or 167 units in these two buildings. There's what, 120 or 125 people that are using one or the other. So if we can get it for $30, we're gonna have to charge 45 just to make up for that amount of people that aren't using it.
Because we'll be charged for 167
Right.
unit.
yeah, we can't do that.
Unless we can sweet talk one of these companies into what they wanna,
Give us a 10%.
And then you'll have to decide if we do not go with the bulk agreement. What brought this all about is when they asked us to enter into the exclusive rights on the, so we'll have to discuss that too.
Carter wants to keep their competition out of here.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see some competition. Most communities are, we're seeing this point broadband coming in and putting fiber in too.
Different groups coming to the county.
Yeah, yes. And we switched in Everett from Spectrum Charter to Point Broadband and the service has been better. No interruptions. We were always getting interrupted on our internet system, on our,
Okay, anything more on Spectrum? Okay, we'll move on to the RFQ RAD conversion update.
Excuse me, I'd like to say something about Spectrum. I pay $218 a month. I only have 15 channels. I called them a year and a half ago, and they said, we'll cut back. You pick 15 channels, and we'll lower it. They lowered it $40. I now pay $218.
That's crazy.
Hopefully, we can be of great service to you before this is all done and over with.
to check on that.
Do you use your internet a lot? Is that why do you have a landline? Excuse me, do you have a landline?
Phone.
A phone, a house phone with your
Yes.
package? And then you have internet and then the cable?
Yes,
Why, that's like. a lot.
Is it Bonnie? Are you Bonnie?
Bonnie.
Yeah, Bonnie, if you bring your bill to my office, I can actually try and help you get in line with them and see if we can't work something out.
It's ridiculous. $218 a month, like 15 channels.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's something.
There's something not
And
right.
it's raising it all the time.
Yeah, can you, because
Your phone and your internet is about $100, so you're paying $118 for that few channels. That's way, way above what their minimum package is, which is, I think, like $49. So there's something amiss.
those people in Ludington are very helpful, but I know you don't want to drive there, but maybe you could call direct to help her. That Ludington office, they're helpful.
There's no office in Manistee anymore.
No, hasn't been for quite a few years.
Okay. RAD conversion.
So I made some minor changes, just some things Baker Tilly, some acronym changes and corrected a few RFP versus RFQ. And I think there was a question on the dates, and I think I had the proposals due August 1st. And we can move that up, or that gives us time to get it out there.
And the issue date is July 1st, but we want to move.
Yeah, we would issue it earlier, or we'd issue it like in the next few weeks, probably. Okay.
So I know we talked about approving at the last meeting, but then we never
You
figured.
know, I don't think we talked about the times and
Right.
dates, so.
Yeah, I would.
If you're prepared, whatever you know, what's good for you guys.
I would like to start this as soon as we can, so if we have to slow down, at least we're get to start in August when we could have started
Yeah.
possibly June.
And get it out there. We're gonna be at a conference in May, which will be a lot of developers and all the
Yeah.
industry people that will be there too. So we can bring that up. The one thing I wanted to say, I had a conversation with the developer yesterday. And, you know, this whole the conversion process, and we talked to Baker Tilly. So there's still a lot of appetite within HUD to do, so you hear things going on in the federal government, but they don't think that's going to impact this. They wanted to do 450,000 units in this last round of RAD conversions. They're nowhere near that. So, and that is one of the departments that is functioning well, and they're trying to move projects along. So I don't think that's an issue. So, and then we're going to need to combine it with a tax credit side, and that's an IRS program, and that has a lot of bipartisan support because it's not congressionally allocated. That's, it's, there isn't money that is appropriated to that. That is, the tax credit program is just less money coming into the treasury because of the tax credits that the investors claim.
So it's deferred.
Yeah, so it's a loss to the treasury, although one of the arguments would be that they would find tax shelters anyway. And it really is designed to stimulate private investment in affordable housing.
Right.
So that, and there's some legislation right now to increase that amount because right now it's like $2 per capita. So Michigan has 10 million residents, a little over 10 million. So they get about $21 million worth of tax credits every year that developers compete for. So they're talking about raising that. And so if you go back and if you go on Michigan's website, like this last round that I had a project in, there were 15 projects funded. Well, 10 years ago, they used to fund 30 projects around because the development costs are that much higher today. So I think they see that. So there's talk about more distribution of tax credits to the states. So I don't think anything is happening will affect how we would move forward right now. Now, and I'll talk about it later in a report, but on the budget side. But anyway, so we'll move forward.
Yes,
Motion to
I'll
approve.
make that motion that who's starting that process now.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. New business, resolution 2025-01. But we made it all the way to March without a resolution.
Oh. Okay.
Asset disposals 2024.
Who assembled this list?
Cindy,
Holy moly. Had it been updated so that she wasn't so,
No, that's the problem. Okay, that's why we're doing this. So, you know, at the end of each year, we look at inventory and we write off what equipment's not there, we dispose of it, or we add whatever's added for the year. Well, these assets are still carried on the public housing side of the ledger. I mean, they're for Century Terrace and Harborview. So.
oh, one.
Yeah. So, some of them are public housing for sure too, because we replaced furnaces and refrigerators, water heaters, so we need to write those assets off of the inventory. I'm not sure why this didn't get done at the conversion, but it needs to happen so we don't carry this on the balance sheet of public housing.
So we have just shy of $1.2 million actual cost of assets that haven't been taken off the book.
Right.
That are no longer here.
Yeah, not necessarily no longer here, Steve. That's the case in a lot of it, but the assets aren't with public housing anymore. They're with these two buildings.
Yeah.
That's a separate entity now.
Are we moving them back over to these two buildings? Or are they just gone?
You know, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. That's a good question.
You know, they have a net value after depreciation of about $209,000.
Some of it is like parking lot improvements.
Yeah, most of it is, yeah,
How can you do a parking lot?
It's on
yeah,
there.
you do, when the Housing Commission spent capital fund money on it, Steve, it had to be booked as an improvement. A depreciable improvement.
Okay.
So. Yeah, I don't think not much of this exists anymore. If there is, it's a few things that got transferred over to the new entity.
So, but the net value is 208,000.
Yeah, the net appreciated value, right?
Yeah.
So,
Do we,
It's just more cleaning up.
what's the Camera Cares Act project that what was that?
So that would have been security cameras.
so I'm curious on some of what I was looking at, like the building improvements. Would you have to necessarily write that off because it's changed from one to the other, you
Right.
gotta write it off?
Yeah, so really,
Take it out of
yeah,
public
And,
housing, put it in.
Right.
Yeah.
We
So-
definitely want to get, if we're doing the RAD conversion, we want to get our public housing assets accurate.
Yep.
Yes.
Got it.
I would agree.
and I remember, didn't the auditor talk about this at one of the council meetings or in front of you about the asset conversions? And I thought I remembered that,
That
but
was quite a while.
yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, in my tenure, I've not
Okay.
had a auditor give that speech.
We haven't had an asset disposal since I've been on.
No.
No, I mean, yeah,
So every year you should do an inventory
I
and
would,
add
yeah.
and remove things.
Yeah, well, I commend her for this assembly of information. That's a lot of stuff.
Okay, do I have
I
a,
move to accept the 2501 asset disposal resolution.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
It has a little checklist here, I don't know if that's.
We do it up there.
They do it
The
up there.
resolution.
so you're gonna go through a roll call?
Yeah, roll call. For the resolution,
Yeah.
Steve.
Okay,
Commissioner Goodman,
Yes,
Commissioner Pelton,
Yes,
Commissioner Samansky,
Yes.
President Plastic.
yes. Okay, there is no presentation or discussion today that I know of. So we'll move in on to reports and communications, Lori and Mark.
I just have a couple things. I'm looking at lawn mowing quotes. So yay, spring's almost here. So instead of snow plowing, we can start mowing the lawns.
Snow
The-
plowing was quite expensive this year, wasn't
It
it?
sure was. Yes, we had a lot of snow. We had a rough winter.
yeah.
They had 167 companies.
Lots of snow.
So, the residents are interested in having a beauty salon over at Harborview on the second floor, which is currently the craft room, which does not get utilized. So, Marie Danks is a retired beautician who, is willing to come in, and she says, she'd like to come in and cut hair, trim beards and mustaches for $10 a person for 60 years and older. Under 60 years old, is $15. And she would come in and do special occasions, weddings, funerals, anything like that. She'd be willing to come in and do groups like that as well. So I have reached out to Jerry Blue, our city official, to ask him exactly what license we would need for that room. There is already a bathroom in the room, so that works out well. So there's running water, although she does not plan on doing shampoos.
Now,
Um,
is she gonna need this full time? Or is she gonna be here 1 or 2 days a week?
1 or 2 days a week.
So we can still have it as a craft from the other days.
Well, not if you set it up.
There's another room right above it that could be used too. for
Well, they're not even
that
using it at this
Storage, where all the
point.
storage is,
What's the point?
right? Didn't we go up there?
This is something they can't use until when it.
This is my back.
Well,
I know.
Yeah.
I think that's a lovely idea. When I managed, Horizon Point, we had a salon. That was a full salon, but I think it would be very nice for the residents to not have, like, go out in weather and,
Yeah, so I'm working to get, so we do have to have the state come and inspect it, I believe. We did set one up in Big Rapids, and they actually donated 10% of the proceeds to the resident council. So that's the main question I have for you. Is it fine if she comes in and keeps the proceeds? She's not charging a lot to start with, or do we want a percent to go to the resident council? And we will have to pay for the licensing, so the housing commission would pay for that.
Did she bring the percentage up?
No, well,
Okay,
well, I discussed it with her, so she would have to probably increase her prices if we wanted a
Does
percent to go to the
resident
resident
council
council. They haven't discussed that. They want the salon, but we didn't discuss if a percent should go to the resident council or not.
well, I'd like to know where you can go and get your hair cut for $10. I mean, I think it's a lovely service. I couldn't imagine taking any of her money.
Yeah,
But that's my opinion.
So we would pay for utilities and we would pay for the licensing of the
Well,
room.
the
So that would be
utilities
just
are
a
up anyway,
service to
right?
the residents.
Yeah, there would be, it would be minor.
We're already paying the utilities. I support Marie Danks doing hair.
and the reason why under 60 is $5 more is because they have more hair.
Yeah, but we'd be going there to get rid of it.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay,
So,
oh, go ahead, Karen.
so setting this up. It's a activity room right now, which is fairly open. Does it have water in it?
Yeah, it has water. It had a sink. I think they used to do haircuts in there because they took the sink out and it's kind of there's sink connection in there.
Yes, Bonnie, do you live on that floor? We're talking about the craft room on the second floor, because you live at Harborview. Do you ever, that room, do you know what room we're talking about? It's
Yeah.
the craft room on the second floor. Is what we would turn into the beauty salon. But I mean, if the residents, they do have the whole community room as well, where they can do puzzles and
Yeah, but I'm just thinking of setup. I mean, here, what is she gonna need?
she said all she needs is a chair and a mirror.
A salon chair or?
She actually says she has a chair she can bring, but I was gonna look into one.
Has the resident council, been advised, have they voted in favor of it?
Yesterday, we did discuss it and everyone was in favor.
I do have one small question. I only go over to Harborview to pay rent. So if I want access to that, I just buzz through the front and say I'm here for a haircut and they just let me in through the building.
Yep, so you would contact Marie directly to set up appointments. And, I believe she would come once a week. She's retired, so she just said it'll be good for her to get out, and I think it's a great service for the residents. It would be residents only, so we're not gonna compete with any other beauticians in town. It would just, only residents could use the service.
That'll in the notice that you send out every month, the newsletter.
Yeah, I need to get with the state first. That's my first order of business is to get the state here to inspect the room.
Plus also for security, you're gonna want her list of appointments. So do buzz in, they are going to her, so we at least control who's coming in.
And I'm assuming there would be a background check requirement for licensing or?
We're licensing the spot. She has to carry her own
And
license.
she does have it. She gave me a copy of it.
All right.
So she's licensed through the state and she'll have to keep that up.
And just during business hours, because we don't want people coming into the building.
I can't have it done at 3 in the morning.
No,
Mhm.
we're cracking down.
Might do house calls.
I catch the hare when it's asleep and doesn't know it's coming.
So 100% of Century Terrace and Harbor View work orders are complete. Yesterday, we probably received a couple last night or this morning, but as of yesterday at noon,
From all the inspections and everything, holy.
at Century Terrace and Harbor View. So next week, we're sending out a notice to the scattered sites. So what we're doing is like a 3-day block
Sure.
and saying, you have an outstanding work order, we're coming in during this time period to complete the work order. So we have CTHV work orders are complete, and then within the next couple of weeks, I should be able to say that about scattered sites.
Awesome. First quarter of the year is rolling right along.
So next IT, they are now Vallejo. They are getting me a quote to install a monopad for the commission meetings. So we would have our agendas, like we discussed at the last meeting, up on a big screen. So we wouldn't have to have, we could still have the packet in front of you if you prefer. But we would also have it up on the screen to go through. And so they are giving me a quote to do that. And then, so he said he would give me a quote. And then he said you could also purchase it on your own and we could come and install it for you, but at least I'll have a comparison.
Do we flip the room around and just do it on that TV so we don't have to add a screen?
We'll ask that question. to
Yeah, I
them.
mean, you know.
Yeah, and this is like a touch screen and you can do,
It's really good because then we can invite people to the meetings, we can have a Zoom link to the meetings, and we can talk to
Okay.
consultants, and if we're gonna move
Yeah.
in the direction, I think we're gonna have lots of
That
meetings.
would be helpful.
Okay,
We waste a tremendous amount of paper.
Yep.
And agendas and supporting
That-
stuff.
That would mean, though, that we'd probably have to have the meeting consistently at one building, which I don't think is all bad.
And I believe that that building should be Century Terrace.
Mhm.
The reason being that this is where the majority of residents.
It lends itself better to this setup, too.
That contract with my ongoing plan to make this my apartment.
like that.
I still haven't got any word back on it. Yeah, I have a kitchen there, bathroom there, just a big area.
Well, you are in the zone for short-term rentals now that the city's gonna approve. So it's gonna be interesting.
so public housing, HUD has received all of our agency plan, all our budget documents. I've closed out all the old capital fund programs, except 2017 is still open. I have to do that one manually. So that shouldn't take me long, but I'm really happy to report that I'm caught up on everything with public housing. Have been spending a lot of time dealing with resident complaints, violations, things like that, but I was able to prioritize the HUD reports, and those, I'm happy to say, are up to date now. We have everything that HUD needed to have for public housing, so that I'm really pleased to report that. And I plan on taking a vacation from April 1st for that week. So if everything works well, I will not be here. Correct. Yeah. And that's the end of my report.
You won't be able to do that. Okay, Mark.
Couple things, and I should have printed this out, and I'll email it to you too. So the continuing resolution that was passed at midnight on Friday, whenever it was last week. So, in the HUD world, everything is level or increased. And I think the significant thing for us, public housing operating fund is level, capital fund is level. So we're gonna exist as we do currently, so, which is good. Now that's through September 30th, by the way. But the good news in that budget is the Section 8 programs were significantly increased. So that means that these buildings have increased, our housing assistance payment will get the inflation. So there's a lot of, and it's not going to affect us in this the RAD process, but that's good news. And what I hear is that they want to continue this RAD program. So even in a budget fight, which I think we're going to have next year, I think those programs are going to still receive funding. Public housing, I don't know. So you need a crystal ball to figure that one out. I wanted to spend just 2 minutes. We're working on the presentation for the city council for April 1st. And it's not a joke. We're going to be there on April 1st.
And just Lori's vacation.
Lori's not going to be there. So we'll have something to you next week, but a majority of it it will be, we want to talk about the future of the scattered sites and public housing and this RAD process and, revisit that. And I'm hoping that the chair and vice chair will be up there with me going through the presentation if you guys are planning to be there.
I can plan on it.
Okay. So I think we get 45 minutes, Jim, or something.
Well done.
The new resident commissioner will be appointed then.
Yeah, and the new resident commissioner will be appointed. And the last thing I'll just share with you, and I think Karen emailed back, the conference that I'm recommending, if you're interested, is that May 14th and 15th. That's that Building Michigan Communities. So that's really the development world will be there. All the developers, all the investors, architects.
Where's it at, Lance?
It's in Lansing at the Lansing Center.
That's not open.
The registration is, we can get you registered if anybody's interested. I'll be
Yeah, I
going
need to
down.
know that so I can get it done soon.
I'll be going down. I think our meeting's on the 15th though, right? Yeah, so I'm only going down for Wednesday that's the big day. I think the Thursday is a half a day.
Is anybody going to the Detroit meeting? Are you guys going to that one?
I'm not
Going. You go to the Tiger baseball game
Yeah.
with the whole group?
Yeah.
In
Do you
April.
want to go, Jean?
And
It might be snowing, Jenny.
No,
Yeah.
no, I
Been
think
there.
it's conflicting with some other meetings, I think.
Well, do we as a group want to go to this thing on the 14th and be back on the 15th for,
Well, let me,
Or move the meeting?
Yeah.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
I don't know right now. I cannot tell you.
I would like to go. Karen, you would like to go, right?
What's the date?
14th
May
of May.
14th. What's,
Wednesday.
this is not
Possible.
narrow, right?
no, this is really put on by Mishta. So like the Mishta director will be there, and usually they may have, the governor may speak. She does most of the time at this.
Yeah,
Affordable housing is like on the forefront with them. So, and particularly in the
Well, after we get
executive
this
office.
RAD conversion, these things done.
Yeah.
We will then, for all intents and purposes, be out of public.
Yeah, we won't be in the public housing arena anymore.
So if you want to go to a public housing meeting, you only have a couple more to choose from. And that's not there anymore.
This will be heavy on the tax credit side,
On the 14th.
but there's a lot of good sessions in there if you're interested.
did we get an email?
I think I gave you a packet last month, but we'll resend it to you.
Yeah, send it to us, cause
Yeah.
I don't.
You know what's what.
Yeah.
Reset that.
Yeah, resend it, but I just remember all the stuff about
It won't
Detroit, getting all the
conflict with the
Detroit
meeting.
stuff.
Well,
Remember that.
so I'm planning on going there Wednesday and being back here for the meeting on Thursday. So, and if you wanted to stay, I would stay Wednesday or Tuesday night because it's early. You can start early. I'm going to drive down though on Tuesday. So if anybody, I could meet you somewhere.
Lansing, Detroit,
Yeah.
okay.
So would not conflict with the meeting on the May 15th then?
Unless you
How long
wanted
does
to
the sessions go till just 5?
4 or 5. Yeah.
But it's about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. from here to there.
I think you guys are a little longer than
3
that.
hours.
Yeah.
I'd come.
3 hours, 10 minutes. Can you see-
I could, I know, the director and I from Big Rapids are gonna ride down together and I could meet you guys somewhere too and we could ride together. We may stay and have dinner with some folks there
We
too.
might want to move our main meeting to the 22nd.
And that's okay too.
And it is early because
Yeah,
the
it-
first Thursday is
The
the
third,
first
yeah, if
of
the
May.
earliest it could be in the month on May.
So we're looking at the 22nd instead of the 15th?
I think so. because I think the majority of the board is going to probably want to go to that on the board.
Is that at Kellogg? Is that where it's at?
No, at the Lansing Center, right downtown, right by the river. You know, with the skywalk from the parking
Oh,
ramp
okay.
over.
Okay, so now we're moving May meeting.
Only if it works, if that's what you want to do, we can.
I would think so.
That's Developer Day in Manistee that afternoon,
On the
on the eighth,
May 8th,
yeah. Chambers hosting developers.
good.
Yeah. So you'd be in town for that, that'd be.
Yeah.
You might want to go to that. Are we moving it then? Is that
For
agreement?
the 22nd, yes.
Thought we were moving it to the eighth. Okay,
No, we're moving it one there.
okay, not one forward, one back. Okay.
So May 22nd at 9 o'clock at Harborview. And then I will for sure sign up.
No, it would. be
Steve, Karen,
February.
Jenny, Mick, let me know if you want signed up.
Yeah.
You do? So I'll sign up the whole board.
Harborview, it's gonna be at Harborview in May.
No, we're here in March.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, you're
Harborview,
right,
and
because
that's-
April,
We'll be
We'll
back
be back
to
to
September.
September.
The snow is confusing us, Steve. Oh, that's good. I think you'll enjoy it. It's the best conference to go to in the,
Taking your word for it, so I'll pressure.
Okay.
you.
Yeah,
which I did forget to mention. I just want to give you an update on the Community Foundation grant. So we did apply for a grant to fix up the shoreline. And the foundation committee will be here tomorrow at 1:15 to
1
look at the
o'clock.
proposed project. 1 o'clock. They did move it up to 1 o'clock. That's right. Steve's right. So yeah, so 1 o'clock tomorrow, we are gonna look at our project. So keep your fingers crossed.
Read something about that, but I was a little confused. Is there actually going to be a spot where people can just walk down right to the river and throw a line in and fish, or is it just beautification?
So right now we're working on the feasibility study and the conceptual plan. So we're looking to see if that's possible. So hopefully, yes.
What kind of timeline? I think that's sort of thing.
Right now, we have requested funds to work with an architect to see what the cost would entail. So once we have that understanding, then we would start applying for grants and work with other agencies and try and make it happen with the city. The city did provide a letter of support. So someday it would be great to have the boardwalk come all the way along this side like it does on the other side of the channel.
Something that's not likely to happen this year.
No,
No.
it'll be,
Best case scenario is next year, and normal, I would say, is probably 2 years away.
it's conceptual at this point, trying to.
I'm assuming something like that would be quite a bit of disruption for those of us who can actually see the water from apartments.
I wouldn't think
I
so.
wouldn't think so.
We did
I was
discuss it at the
moving
resident
ground.
council yesterday, and
It would
we
be
do
huge
have a letter of
benefit.
support from the president of the resident council, and I did let the residents know that we want them on board every step of the way. So you will be notified every step we take.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mark or Lori? Committee reports? Finance committee, you did not meet. Personnel,
We met,
but it's not public.
no.
Okay.
Well, reviewed applications.
Okay, commissioner reports. We'll start from Karen's end and work this way.
Nothing to add.
So, I admire the statistical input that Cindy did on the, asset disbursement. That's like amazing, besides all the checks and everything she does every month. So I would like to say congratulations, Cindy, on a job well done.
The only thing I have is I have talked to another internet broadband supplier that's very interested in this project. So at least we have something to compete with Spectrum on. And I want to tried to get hold of Point Broadband, do the same thing. And I just thought come in my head when we talked about this being on the 14th of May. And it's like, if you've seen that McDonald's commercial with the teacher leading all the little kids out, quack, quack, waddle, waddle. Mark will be the teacher, will be the quack, quack, waddle, waddle. That's all I had.
Nothing for the group.
Okay, received communications. Letter dated March 7th regarding resident commissioner.
We did receive one application from the scattered site residents. And you will see that we have the letter dated March 7th to Mayor Sullivan requesting that the city council appoint Sue Mychek as the next resident commissioner. So this will be discussed on April 1st at the council meeting. The same night we have our presentation.
Does everyone here know Sue? You used to work at Ace Hardware. Yeah. I think she'd make a great commissioner.
She works at Family Dollar now.
Okay, CMHC commissioner roster. Did it change again?
No, but I just wanted you to know when your term actually is up for reappointment or when it expires.
None of that information about me is correct.
Okay, so I will get with Heather on that.
Are we going with our own websites, emails?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. So we do, when I spoke with our IT personnel, I was informed that we could have one commissioner email if you guys prefer instead of 5, and it would be commissioner@manisteehousing.com, and you would all have access to it.
And it's cheaper that way too, right?
Right, instead of paying for 5 emails, we would pay for 1. So if you prefer that, I can facilitate that.
Email Andy.
I can get back to you on that, but I want to say it's just over $10
One.
a month.
I don't need, I'm happy with the group one.
Yep.
I don't need another personal email.
I agree.
He's
Okay.
a Manistee County Commissioner. Means group stuff.
Yeah, I don't think it's wise for us to keep personal emails in public for the commission.
So, okay, so I'll get with IT and we'll change it. I'll let you know what the new,
Yeah.
when it's,
And then one of, like, Steve can
Activated.
monitor it and tell us if we need to look at it.
you could forward them the email.
I swear I'm the only one that's there. And I've only got one email and that was from January and the guy had a complaint and I gave it to Lori and I haven't heard anything since.
This year so far.
Yeah. Okay, vacancy report.
So it still looks pretty good. We did fill CT 117 yesterday, so that actually can come off the list. We do have a few coming up. So I do have the girls working on processing applications.
So we do have a wait list again now.
We do,
Good, great.
but still encourage people to apply.
So we're at 100% or virtually 100% right now, right?
Yeah, we have one vacancy at Century Terrace and one in the scattered site.
But we're working on filling them,
Yes,
so we're at 100%.
or 98.
Okay, newsletter.
Yeah, the work order notification, so that helped. So they were able to get in every unit, complete all the work orders. The parking lot, we do have a lot of residents that did register their vehicles. So Kevin actually, he was out this morning tagging vehicles. We have a lot of people that are parking, like we have visitor parking, but a lot of times the visitors do not use it. So Kevin's actually tagging cars that are in the east and west parking lots that should be in the visitor parking lot. So, we are trying to get a handle on that, and
So we're tagging visitors?
if they're not in the visitor parking lot, because the two parking lots are for our residents.
Where is the visitor park?
Oh.
The middle
wait,
lot
so
is for
I'm gonna have a
visitors.
tag on my truck?
No, not if you're in visitor parking lot. I think you're in.
Between the two buildings, visitor.
Yes,
Oh, okay,
Okay.
all right.
yes, but what we have is visitor, and we do need to, I mean, we do have a sign there, but I think everything, the signs all need to be looked at and updated as well. But this east parking lot right outside the window here and the west parking lot on the other side of Harbor View, those are for resident parking. So we're trying to get visitors to understand to park in the middle lot and leave that for the
So
residents.
the residents don't use the middle lot then?
Well, they can, because we definitely need the
Do we need
overflow
it?
there.
I think over in the Harbor View, I think there might be neighbors parking over there. So. it'll
Well,
be
we'll
good.
find out because he's tagging everyone who doesn't have a permit.
Yeah, so I think that'll be great once we get that.
I think, and at some point, that parking lot should be paved over there to increase the parking,
Yeah,
which I'm not sure why that wasn't done.
Well, if we get to the point where we move our stop between Harbor View and Century Terrace, we have that whole
Yeah.
area
Too.
across the street from Century Terrace to turn into the parking lot or Century Terrace.
Or visitors, and then use that one.
Yeah, that's
first.
good.
That would be more than appropriate for visitors across the street.
That building's gonna come down someday.
On its own, or
It's gonna come on its own pretty soon.
Either on its own, or it's gonna be forced, somebody's gonna force it down.
But I pretty much just updated the residents on their Riverbank project and operational update. And then the internet TV service.
Okay, President Council meeting minute, 12/11 and 13/25. How they're doing?
Good.
Like they're being pretty active.
Yeah, they did cancel the February meeting, but we did meet yesterday and it was a good meeting. Neighborhood Watch. We have two residents that I will be working with. We're going to meet with Chief Glass to continue to work towards setting up a neighborhood watch program.
I saw the request for an ATM machine. Is that something that we can look into?
The resident council thought it was a bad idea. It was just one of the suggestions, but when we discussed it at the meeting, they didn't think it was a good idea.
Oh, I think our resident back there brought it up. Dude, we should have drop boxes at both Century Terrace and Harbor View, the main lobbies to put rent checks in.
We do.
We do? So then you don't need to go to Harbor View to pay your rent.
Just prefer doing it. I like to have my receipt immediately. I like to talk to people. I don't like doing shit over the
Yeah,
internet.
yeah, you're kind of like I am.
You know,
Go to do something, it takes me 4 hours to get it done, then I forget what it was I came to do.
I grew up when you talk to people when you pay your bill or something.
Okay. Anything more in the resident council meetings? Okay, that time of the day to open up public comments. Anyone have a public comment? They haven't already voiced.
Why we weren't told before we moved in here as to, why we can't be transferred over to the other place. I've been here now for going on 7 months almost. And when I moved in, Lisa was one that moved me in. And she told me that I would be on the top of the list to be moved over there. But then when I talked to somebody else the other day, they said that there's no way that I can do that unless I am disabled. I've been disabled since '83. I've been to court and everything. But the right here on the papers out, it's a BS. I mean, this world is a bunch of BS as it is going on in the world today. Then we come here and you do more of it. I don't understand it.
Well, hopefully we're taking that better, but.
So
I
they
will
do
get-
allow transfers for reasonable accommodation. Is what I explained, that in order to qualify for a transfer, you do need a reasonable accommodation.
And for public information, what would be a reasonable accommodation?
So, if the apartment that you are currently in, does not have the necessary, it's not set up for your needs.
Like a low access shower or something like that?
Right, so if you're, if you need a barrier-free unit, then, you can request a reasonable accommodation. So I did offer to work with you on that documentation.
Yeah, you did.
They told me about a year ago I could switch. Because of my tinnitus, and I was living right over the loading dock and listening to it all day, but I decided to pass on it because it was just too much trouble, but I do know they offer it.
Okay, so it's in process then.
So you're working with this lady?
I did
We talked about it, yeah.
talk about if she would like to request a reasonable accommodation, that we could help her with the documentation.
So you're in this building, you want to go to that building?
Yes.
Okay. And we don't.
The only reason, there's a lot of, in my apartment, I can hear the people upstairs go to the bathroom. And that's irritable.
Well,
I mean, really irritable.
we
Well-
might still have that problem in Harbor.
Yeah, but it's not, it can't be as bad, believe me. This one feels like it's right,
That,
right next to you going. It's
well, and the
one
other
on this
thing,
side and one on that side.
the other thing for you to consider here is that this building, if we get this grant from Consumers Energy, is going to have both heating and cooling.
Air conditioning.
It's gonna be air conditioned in the summer. Harborview won't,
At the Harbor View was already.
only if you open your window.
Same thing here. When I moved in, it was so hot in here, I couldn't stand it. And my window open, it was in the middle of winter.
We hopefully will be putting, air handlers in here, to do both heating and cooling.
I've had my heat off now for the last 3 weeks already. I haven't even had it turned on.
I've never turned my heat on since I lived here.
Any other public comments? Or questions? Okay,
I do have one thing to note, if you don't mind. When they put in an area for smoking last year, they put a bench in for people to sit on, which was good, right over here.
Mhm.
But that bench is eating into the asphalt, it's creating holes, and with the freeze thaw cycle, the holes are getting bigger as potholes tend to do. This needs to be addressed, or you're gonna just tear up your brand new parking lot really quickly.
Well, thanks for observing that. Just always in something like that, you're welcome to get a hold of our director or the
It
maintenance.
just, you need something under the bench to prevent it from making, to spread out the weight.
Right.
Because right now you got a good sized pothole under two of the legs.
Oh,
And the
right.
freeze
I
thaw
can do a
cycle
work
this
order.
year has done damage to it.
Yeah.
we can do some coffee can concrete. Thank you, that was a good idea.
It's just a shame that, because you just put the damn thing in, you don't wanna.
Thank you.
Okay, announcements and upcoming meetings. Our next committee meeting or commissioners meeting will be Thursday, April 17th at Harborview. And with that, I take a motion for adjournment.
I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
And I need that.
All Motion carried.
Okay.
No,
So I don't know.
That's
What I'm worried about.
See you in April. Sometimes.
I'm Mark.
Probably outside.
I'm Lainey Rosa. I'm
Oh,
new to
thank you.
city.
I have to have some.
Yeah.
We like to come forward.